Hi, this is James. This is part of my series before my EP comes out April 18th, Old Conversations by James Co. And today I just want to do a simple video. And this is going to be a tier list of David Bowie albums. Now, I want to start this by saying I'm a big fan of Bowie. I've gone through his discography once fully. So some of the albums I've listened to many, many, many times. Some of them only once and never again because I didn't really feel the need to. So for some of these albums, I might not talk about them much. I might just say one word or be like, from what I remember, this was this, And I think the order of this bracket's going to be weird. I'm going to try to do it in chronological order. Maybe not. I don't know. I might just go based off of this. But yeah, here we go. So starting off with a heavy hitter, we have Aladdin Sane. Now this to me is an A, easy A. I think this is some of my favorite early experimentation. I think up until this point, Bowie was playing it not safe at all, but he wasn't pushing the boundaries. He was pushing the boundaries in his aesthetics, but he wasn't pushing it sonically as much up until this record. And when I think of certain things like the piano on the title track, or even just certain more distorted sounds on the album, it's a little bit heavier than previous work. I always think of this as the heavier, more different, Ziggy Stardust. I mean, this is one of his records I think anyone should listen to. If you are into music, this is a quintessential album, regardless of what genres you like. It is one of the ones to listen to. It's foundational. Next, actually, I'm gonna skip that one because I want to talk about it later. Let's go with the self-titled debut, the first one. This is an easy D to me. I listened to it and I remember being there is 1.5 songs that I enjoyed. There were many that I was this is actively horrible. Some that are funny in how bad and weirdly gimmicky they are. So next I'm just going to go with the other self-titled one. That's also going in D. I actually prefer the first one a little bit more. The second one, Space Oddity, and that's it. The rest of the album is actively bad. There's at the very least 1.5 good songs on the first self-titled. Still very forgettable regardless. Next I want to talk about is Pinups. This is the most forgettable Bowie album in my mind. I remember listening to it and being how in the world in this era of music that he was in did Pinups come out? It doesn't make sense to me. I believe it's all covers. It's strange and not in a fun Bowie way, but in a whose idea was this? Why was this approved and released by the label? Besides just it's not that bad. I think it's more just when your standards are so high for an artist, even if they do something that's okay, that feels monumentally bad because of how amazing everything else is. Next, Man Who Sold the World. I'm bigger on this album than most people are. I think I enjoy this album a lot. I think there's like Superman on there, a great song. The weird thing is the drumming on that album is so heavy. It's hard rock to almost at times very metally drumming, and especially for the time, that's very strange. I wonder how that was to hear live for the first time. I think a lot of those songs, it feels like they were tested out playing live and then they just recorded it, and it wasn't very polished, but you could tell it was they had played the songs a bunch. But I mean, if you're a Bowie fan, I'd recommend it, but there's just a lot of better hard rock of the time. All right, for our first S tier, What can you even say about this album that hasn't been said? Perfection. This was the first album I listened to and thought consciously, this is perfect. This is something that it really just changed the way I wanted music to sound, in the sense of when I listened to music after this record, I wanted it to have some of the same qualities that this album had, in the sense of the fun of certain songs, the emotional depths. Rock and Roll Suicide is still top 5 favorite song ever for me, and I say that about a lot of songs. I don't actually have a top 5, but that one legitimately is like a top 5 favorite song ever for me. Next, I want to go with Young Americans, and this is also going in A. This record is so Motown influenced. There's soul, there's funk, R&B influence. It is so good. It's so well-rounded. I enjoy it so much. And I realize now I'm doing these in such a strange order because this is part of a different era of Bowie, post Ziggy Stardust, kind of in the midst of, like, I would say almost like it is kind of Thin White Duke era, but I almost view it as like the in-between. It is the transfer, because when you listen to Station, it feels like a different person, and for good reason. This was, to me, I'm going to compare it to the next album I'm putting up there. I enjoy the highs on this album so much that there's like very few. I can only think of 1 to 2 duds on there, and even then they're still great. Like, they're just not amazing. And you forget the ones that aren't as memorable so quickly because it's surrounded by stuff that is so great. Across the Universe feels like Bowie. That song, he turns a Beatles song into a Bowie song. I don't think of that song as a Beatles song. I think of it as a Bowie song. And I know Fiona on Apple and other people covered it, but to me, it'll always be a Bowie song. And the album I want to compare it to is Hunky Dory. Hunky Dory, I view so similarly. The highs on that album make the lows forgettable, which kind of makes it better because then you aren't dwelling in the lows. And again, the highs cannot be understated. When you think of like the hits on this album, you have like Changes, Life on Mars, all of that. But like even some of the ones that people generally tend to not like the Bowie Brothers and all that, I like. I mean, like the Warhol song is not the best, but I don't know. I really like this project. Yeah, I don't think that's like a unpopular opinion at all. Next, what do I want to talk? Oh, Diamond Dogs. Diamond Dogs. It's going in the B. It's going in the B. I'm not as high on this album as a lot of other Bowie fans. I wanted to like this album. I like the concept of this album. I think this, and I kind of like Man Who Sold the World being next to it because they both feel like the heaviest Bowie albums in a lot of ways. The writing is so inconsistent to me on this album. Because it's based on the book 1984, and there's constant references. It's kind of within it, the story, but like it feels weird. It feels very much almost like a fan fiction, and that's my problem with a lot of the lyrics. The more it strays in my mind from the book and the book's narrative is the more fun the album is, because the book is very complete. I don't need more 1984. The book tells the message perfectly. It's succinct. It's a fantastic story, and it's a potent work. But when you have Bowie writing like this about it feels very weird. It feels like someone who just enjoys something so much they just need to contribute. That's kind of all I can say about it. But there's still so many songs off there that are really good. I actually like the Diamond Dogs songs, the self-titled songs. Next, Station to Station is going in A. Man, this project is so strange. So strange. And it works so well. Words on Wing and like all those songs, like so fantastic. It is so inventive, and there's so many stories of him in the studio with it, but he has zero memory of it apparently because he was doing so much cocaine at the time. But at the same time, like the whole recording everything about this is worth looking into. There is some weird stuff. This is where you get some of the Bowie questionable stuff going on with this project, in the sense of some of his like aesthetic choices that I find disagreeable. And I know he was doing it kind of to be edgy and provocative, but some of it hasn't aged well. You find some of that on Station to Station. However, this is the true like Thin White Duke era. When you think of Thin White Duke, you usually think of Station to Station, and there's good reason. It feels like a strange time for Bowie because this is right before my favorite era, a lot of people's favorite eras of him, and Thin White Duke is like obviously beloved, but like this is the reason why, in my mind, no other project from that time from Bowie. I don't know. Maybe Young Americans I like more. I don't know. I like them kind of the same, but It's just, this is what you think of. This is imagery. This is aesthetically what you think of when you think of the Thin White Duke and all of that. All right, next, I want to go through my favorite era, the Berlin era, and starting off with low, immediate S tier. This is my favorite Bowie album as of right now. I mean, it changes from day to day, but low is perfection. Low is what, I mean, in a lot of ways, started post-punk. He basically started a genre with this album, and it's incredible. Every song is incredible. The last half is ambient. It's incredible. Brian Eno produces it. Incredible. Like, there's no other word I can think of when I think of this album. And there's so many hits. Like, Be My Wife is so creative. The hard piano on that song. Always Crashing in the Same Car. Another song. Sound and Vision. That's just like a true pop song from Bowie. And for that time, it was strange for him to just do that very pop melody for the chorus sound. Like, incredible. Heroes, also an S tier for me. I can't articulate how much this album like has an immediate just enveloping sound to it that takes you in, and it makes you almost like succumb to how great it is. Like, Beauty and the Beast is like, so like, that beat is insane. And the fact that like Heroes, the song itself, almost started shoegaze, and I'm giving it too much credit for that, but it was so influential to like shoegaze bands later, and it's, I mean, regarded by so many to be just the most perfect song ever made. I understand why. It is so fantastic. Lodger is not for me. I'll say that. Everything on paper about it seems like something that would make it my favorite Bowie album. Everything on paper makes it incredible. When I listen to it, I do not get the same reaction that I get from a lot of Bowie's best work. And I don't know why. I've given it many tries. It just hasn't hit yet for me. And I hope it will one day, because, again, on paper, this concept is really cool. I like the fact that he's almost like leaning into this weird sort of alternative sound that he's created, but still doing in that poppy way that's interesting. Scary Monsters and Super Creeps. I love this project. There is so much about this project that I absolutely love. I can't think of like a problem with this album. Like, I know this is like a weird phase because it is a transition era, but I love where like this lands for Bowie, because it's a lot of his willingness to experiment in the Berlin era kind of continues while leaning more fully into the pop landscape of the 80s. And when you think of like his inadvertent influence before, like everything I liked about Lodger is almost like done to more extreme with more digital tendencies on this project. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Tonight, C. I know it's regarded by many to be like, oh, the worst Bowie project. I don't care. I think there's like decent stuff on there. That's why I view it like pinups. It's like the only reason why like feels bad to people is just because like it's in an era where it was like so many amazing stuff. So it's like when one is just okay, it feels just so horrible. Even when it's not. Let's Dance. I am way higher on this album than a lot of other people. I love this project so much. I think this is like the pure fun of Scary Monsters and Super Creeps is just taken to the extreme on Let's Dance. I think this is some of my favorite pop songs. Modern Love, to me, I understand why this is so big in Bowie's career, why this was pushed so much at the time. I think that's a perfect pop song. I especially think it's aged tremendously. I think it's some of my favorite like writing on this project. Covering the Iggy Pop song, I mean, questionable choice, but it makes sense given his career trajectory and his relationship with Iggy Pop, and he does a good job with the song. Cat People was a weird song. I honestly kind of like it, but yeah, that's that project. From here's where it gets rough. Here's where it gets rough. I'm going to go in chronological order for this. Never Let Me Down, D. It's not good. It's not memorable. I didn't enjoy it. Black Tie, White Noise, I almost want to put it in B. I just can't get myself to do it. Like, I wish I liked this album more. I really wish I did. I just don't. I mean, Buddha of Suburbia isn't like that for me. I just think it's better than some of the other stuff that's going to come up on here. Outside, not memorable. I didn't like it. Earthling, not likable. I didn't like it. Again, like, I feel bad just kind of only saying negative stuff about this era, but it's going to get worse before it gets better. Hours, once again, forgettable. The things that are memorable aren't very good. I think in someone else's career, this isn't viewed as badly as it is for Bowie, but this just project, from the aesthetics to the sound, is just mediocre. Heathen. I don't hate Heathen. There's some songs on here. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Carlos Alomar, one of his guitarists, is on Heathen. I really like it. He was part of the Berlin era. And like, this feels like a more genuine attempt at like doing something interesting than some of his other stuff. It feels like a return to form a little bit, just relative to his streak of not good. Reality, not good, not memorable. I know some people are like, oh, it's actually not bad. It's not for me. Next Day, see, I don't think that project is like that bad. It's just, it doesn't do anything that makes me re-listen to it much, because it's just forgettable, but it's a lot better than like Reality or Hours or Earthling. And then Black Star, I might put it as, I have it currently at A. I don't think it's, I mean, it's not, is it? It might be perfect. You know what? I'm going to put it in S. It's weird. When I got into Bowie, it was around the same time of his death. So Black Star was the second full album I listened to from Bowie, which is a strange one for it to be. I love the experimentation on it. I love what he does on this album. There will be no other album like it. The story behind it is incredible. And yeah, there's not much else you can say about it, because it's so powerful. No one else really gets to summarize their amazing career like this in the way that Bowie does. Man, this tier list is like weird to look at once I'm done, because I'm like, I feel like I'm disrespecting some of his work because there's so much in D and C, but like, I'm only putting it there because it's like relative to his other work. If this were another artist, like, some of these albums wouldn't be like, definitely not in C, like Pinups and Tonight, like that probably would be further up. Man, one of the greatest artists ever. I'm just gonna wrap this up. Check out my EP when it comes out. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, subscribe. Yeah.